Okay, so let me get the chat bot open. And then, of course, Twitch is like broken because with Restream, if you change to like the game, if you change the game that you're playing, Twitch oftentimes doesn't switch with you. So I'll get this up here. I'll check it. Disconnect. Generate token. Authorize. Yep, that's good. Connect. Yep. So that should be connected to chat. We're good to go on that. Okay, so I can close that down, and then we'll do all the stuff done. We're not gonna worry about graphics today.
Okay.
I don't see a point in it.
Not right now.
I mean, it's all just talking about things that people know what's going on. I mean,
Okay.
you know.
I hear what you're saying.
So I wish this stuff would like leave you logged in based off of memory, but it never does. Okay, so that's good to go then. Okay, and then I have to go to the stream manager and then edit stream info. We are not playing CFDs right now. We're doing talk shows and podcasts. And then we're going to do English, fantasy sports, fantasy football, podcast, blah, blah, blah. Done. We do have a sponsor with Dr. Squatch, so we're going to put branded content on here too.
Sounds good.
So we'll kind of what we did last time. We'll just transition some of the same stuff. It's kind of what we did last time. We'll just transition some of the same stuff. And then I'm going to test my openings real quick, and then we'll actually get ready to do the actual recording, all right? And then I am going to go to Twitter and Discords. That?
That's a golf clap. You have it in your Discord sounds.
Oh, really? If you can manage some of that, that'd be actually sweet.
Does that work?
Oh, really? Yeah, it worked great. That'd be actually sweet.
It worked great. That's cool. Oh, there it is. There's sound effects in the chat. You were able to hear it though?
Absolutely.
That's cool. You were able to hear it though?
Absolutely.
Oh, here we go. We're set.
Let's see here.
Yes, sir. All right. Do the sound effects.
Those are actually really good.
Yeah.
Those are actually really good.
Yeah.
Okay. Twitch.tv.
Oh, this is great. I like this. This just brings new life to it.
I am too. I mean, I'm really excited actually. It's been a minute. I'm really excited actually. It's been a minute. Okay. And then we'll do this. Alright, so then I'm gonna go to our old. We gotta make a new X account for the. We gotta make a new X account for the new show.
Okay.
For the new show.
Okay.
Take that one. Okay, so then I'm gonna pull up the stream here so I can see it. Make sure it's working. Okay, and then actually, and then one more thing here. Then I swear I'm done. One more thing. Then I swear I'm done. Callisto always wants to know when we're live, so I wanna make sure she knows.
Awesome.
Make sure she knows.
Awesome.
Okay, I'll go full screen with you here, and then we'll test that full screen real quick. Podcasts. Okay, we're good there, and then I'm gonna go to the start screen, and we're gonna test the intros, make sure we're good to go there. And I'm gonna go to the start screen, test the intros, make sure we're good to go there. Okay, and then we'll do. So I heard that one. So you'll just have to count me down because I'm gonna have to mute my stream on my side.
Alright, let me see. Let me see. Pull it up real quick.
Time to pull the big switch, good buddy.
From the ads and drops,
Weekly matchup reviews,
coverage on the LA Chargers and Minnesota Vikings,
more NFL hot topics.
Notorious Fantasy Takes with Michael and John. Champions of the Stream League will keep you covered and ready to take your league by storm. So sit back, relax,
And don't tinker your lineup too much yet.
until the show is over. You're listening to Notorious Fantasy Takes.
Okay, so that does work. I can hear that loud and clear. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll run one of the intros first. We'll do the animated intro, and then we will run the opener.
Can you link it here in chat?
What's that?
Can you like link your stream in chat here? Because I can't. It's not pulling up for me.
Which chat?
Our DMs.
Which chat?
Our DMs.
What do you mean? I'm not following.
Just link your Twitch because I can't. It seems not can't find it.
Oh, you can't find me on Twitch?
Yeah, it's my machine's. It must be like a privacy thing. But
with the name change, you might be looking at my old name.
yeah,
With the name change, you might be looking at my old name.
I had it last time.
It's a Notorius Nerd.
Last time.
It's a Notorius Nerd.
Notor.
IUS.
Right. Nerd. Oh, wait, there we go.
Did it pull up?
Yes, sir. We're live. We're good.
Okay. All right. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we're gonna be live. I need you to count me down on the intro. Okay. So I'm gonna hit start recording in 3, 2, 1.
From the ads and drops,
Weekly matchup reviews,
coverage on the LA Chargers and Minnesota Vikings,
and more NFL hot topics.
Notorious Fantasy Takes with Michael and John. Champions of the Stream League will keep you covered and ready to take your league by storm. So sit back, relax,
And don't tinker your lineup too much yet.
until the show is over. You're listening to Notorious Fantasy Takes.
Welcome into Notorious Fantasy Takes, where it is their new show that we kind of revamped from Nerd Sports Zone with John and Mike. I am one of your hosts, Mike. This is your other host, John. Welcome back, everybody. We've been trying to go ahead and get kind of things moving as best as we can. But we've just been super busy. I'm back in school. John's been working a lot, and then also he just had some very personal stuff happen. So we're not going to get into that. We're going to get our minds off of all that just for the next hour before the game start, and we're going to talk some football. So if you have any input that you would like to put into the chat, we'd love to have that. If there's any visitors from the NFC North group, well, obviously we'd love to have those comments in the chat. I think John would agree with me that we are not biased and we give fair takes as well. So I think that you guys will enjoy the show if you're new here. We don't really ever try to ruffle feathers that don't need to be ruffled, because sometimes it's just one of those things where like people just have opinions that are dumb, and sometimes people have opinions that actually like matter to football. So that's kind of where we're at. So so have you been, man?
I'm good, man. You know, the season's over. It was a long one. Being a Chargers
Yes,
fan,
it was.
you know what it was. It was a tough one, but the playoffs are here and they are exciting. I love the storylines that shaped up to be.
Yep.
We got some great games ahead of us today. We had some great games yesterday. But,
Yep.
you know, the Super Bowl's among us. You know, we're weeks away.
It's kind of crazy how fast like this time of the year always comes around. Like the season starts and everyone it's a football fan in general is like, football's back, baby. Like, you know, like it's gonna be a long season, and then you get to this point and you're like, man, like football's really not that long of a season, even though
It's cool. And it's funny to see, you know, how teams trickle out. You know, the real ones stay afloat, and the pretenders tend to fall off. And it's funny how that happens.
I know, and I think that this season, it's really tough to tell like who like the pretenders were and who like the competitors were, with like the amount of like injuries and next man up. And I mean, there's been such crazy things that we're not even gonna get to talk about today. Like in major depth. But I mean, you could look at the season as a whole. I mean, look at the Browns with like Joe Flacco coming in and doing what he did, you know. And then I mean, we'll get into kind of like covering the Viking season, which was a whirlwind, roller coaster of emotions, and honest thoughts on the team going forward. And then obviously we're going to get into a lot of like the Chargers talk and see what you think needs to change over there, because you guys got a good quarterback in Herbert. But we'll get into all that. So let's just start off right from the get go. Obviously, fantasy seasons are over. Which is what most of our show genuinely consists of during the fantasy football season. You heard in the intro that John and I have both won our Streamer League. And this year we did not. Neither one of us won. My friend Matt won. Congratulations to White Mama. Can we get some claps? Can we get some claps in the sound effects? I mean, it was awesome to see Matt go and win. Not once, but twice. He won 2 leagues this year, so it was kind of cool to see that happen for him. So, after he had a couple of rough seasons last year, or a couple of rough leagues last year, to him to bounce back and win those leagues. So, congrats to White Mamba. Your championship ring and your prizes are going to be waiting for you. So, he also just had a baby boy not that long ago. So, yeah, and lots of wins for him. So let's just jump into it. I'll let you go first, John. When you think of this fantasy season, like, what were some of like the biggest obstacles that you had to overcome for your team? Were you able to? And then ultimately, just kind of like, how many teams did you playoff lock? How far did you get in? Just kind of recap the season.
So,
your biggest disappointments, your biggest busts, best pickups. Just go off.
We jumped into 5 leagues. I only locked in 1 this year. It was tough.
Mm-hmm.
Strategy-wise, I tend to mix it up towards the back half of my, depending what draft I have, who I'm playing with. I tend to mix up strategies. Running back depth was definitely a plus this season. If you stacked up early on some solid running backs, I think you had a fair chance. You needed those bell cows to get you in, and I think you needed I think a mobile quarterback was a reach for me. I think I reached on Jalen Hurts a lot across the leagues.
It kind of feels that way now, huh?
Yeah, it did. I feel like Jalen Hurts was a bit of a reach as a quarterback for me. I feel like Lamar Jackson was probably the quarterback to go with in fantasy this year. I mean, I drafted him and he was pretty consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And he's having an MVP season. Shout out. I do I pray on his demise, but hey, the guy balls out.
Right.
Being an AFC rival. Austin Eckler, the Chargers fan, bro. That was
a weird season.
We could watch that scrub that from my memory. That would be amazing. That was terrible, and I think I have him marked down as fantasy MVP because he did help me like win a league. Like, that guy was amazing last season. So
it was one of those things that no one really saw coming.
I mean, if you saw Kellen Moore and you saw what happened to Zeke and how Zeke couldn't feast in that thing, I was like, there's no way Austin Eckler's gonna feast in this thing. He's small.
Yeah.
He's small, bro. So it hurt to see. I think wide receivers, if you had a healthy one, because they dropped like flies a lot this season.
Yeah.
You had health. If your players were around in the long haul, you won. I think you had a successful season. If you had healthy players, starters, you won.
I think that was the story of the season. I mean, for me, I playoff locked, I think 4 of my 6 teams, and then every team that I was in like those brackets with, at the end for like the big show. I had a lot of like late season pushes, and I got somewhat healthy, but it got into the next level of the competition where it was who has the better names that are fully healthy. Like when we got into like the big show tournament, it turned into like, okay, can my team that's consistent of like a lot of waiver wire pickups and backups that I don't know are going to be permanent starts or like temporary starts and really up in the air if they're going to play or not going to play. Am I gonna be able to beat this guy that's had like almost a fully healthy team all year, or he had a really good waiver wire pickup earlier in the season or late in the season that turned out to be one of the best decisions. I mean, we all know who I'm talking about with that, and that was Puka Nacua. He was nuts this year. Like, if you got Puka Nacua, there's a good chance that you had a high chance to win most of your leagues. I mean, Puka was out of this world good. And going into next year, I think the Rams look real dangerous with him, with Cooper Kupp and him. So kind of fun to see. One of the waiver wire pickups I also got was Jordan Addison. I winged it on that one. I lost a receiver. I didn't lose Justin because I never got the chance to get him. Didn't get the first pick in any draft, so I never. Well, no, I did get the first pick in one draft, and that was in the Stream League. When we ran it through the generator, I got the first overall pick. I got Justin Jefferson, and then my next pick was Kirk Cousins. So I lost Justin Jefferson for 8 weeks, and then I lost Kirk Cousins for the season, which we're going to get more into that. But I felt like my personal biggest fantasy disappointment for the season was honestly Austin Eckler. I mean, he doesn't have seasons like that, and just to see that, and what's really weird to say about this subject is that with Eckler, it was kind of like not all his games were that bad. Like, they were still good weeks for like other running backs, but if you know fantasy football and you play fantasy football, right? It's weird. It's a weird season for Austin Eckler to be like, that was a bad season for him. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of strange where you're like, that's a bad year for fantasy running back, like where he's still maybe getting 11, 10 points a game. But there was some weeks that he was just absolute duds. So
yeah.
And then I felt like my best pickup was probably Puka.
Best pickup was if you got Puka, that was a good pickup.
Mm-hmm. I felt like Puka was my best pickup on the season this year. Let's move in to some new territory here on Notorious Fantasy Takes. Fantasy season is over. Me and John did not win any leagues, so let's get into some of the NFL hot topics. We're going to talk about some of the games that happened yesterday at the end, and then also some of the games that are going to be going on this afternoon. So let's get into this a little bit here. We were supposed to have a guest on the show. His name is Michael Schumann. He's in a really fun group that I'm in called the NFC North Trash Talking Group, or NFC Elite. Longtime Lions fan. I think he said he's been a Lions fan for 30 plus years. I wanted to get him on the show today, and I still want to get him on. But Michael, if you're watching, the reason I didn't contact you for today specifically is I know that your team is still in the playoffs, and maybe you got some stuff going on at home, and you got to get ready for the big game with the family or something like that. So I didn't want to bother you. So just we'll get you on here, and then I want to hear what you have to say about your Lions, man. Like I think that me and John are both excited to hear what your thoughts are as a Lions fan for a long time.
I think they're playing with house money at this point. Just to make the playoffs is a great feat, and then just to get that first playoff victory, it brings a lot of fresh air to Detroit. That pure Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I went and visited Michigan. I know what it's like now. It's nice. It's nice out there. But Lion fans got to be happy. I'm excited to watch Motor City Dan Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a coach anybody would want to play for. It's exciting, dude. Let's go Lions, man.
I can't sit here and say like a lot of the same stuff. Obviously, I'm in same division, NFC North. We're always fighting each other every year. But I will say honest thoughts that need to be said. So let's talk about the NFC North as a whole, right? So this season, before we even get into just Minnesota, let's talk about the NFC North as a whole. To start the season, you kind of go into this realm of like, okay, Jordan Love is coming in. Justin Fields, is he gonna start panning out to like what we think he's going to do or what we think he might not do, which for some people that was he's going to go off, and for some people that was he's going to be a bust. And so we'll as we continue this conversation, we'll kind of get more into that. It's kind of a strange division this year. Detroit came out of, I won't say nowhere, because they ended their season really well last season when they knocked Green Bay out from playoff contention, and then they kept that streak going into this year. And they did their job. Like, there's games that were in front of them, and they won. They won those games, and that's what they were supposed to do. So, my kudos goes to the Lions. And before anyone thinks that, like, I'm going to sit here and discredit some of the stuff that they've done this year, I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to give, like, compliments. Because here's the thing, right? Like I just said, in football, it's uncontrollable, like, how seasons are going to play out. Yes, did the Vikings lose Kirk Cousins? Sure. Did we not have Justin Jefferson for 7 to 8 weeks? I think it was 7 weeks. Yes, we didn't have Justin Jefferson for 7 weeks. Then we lost KJ Osborne to a helmet for a week. And then we lost Cam Akers for the season. I could go down a full list, which I'm going to do for, like, team analysis. But everyone's, like, that is, like, the sour apples, sour grapes Vikings fans being like, oh, well, they only won the North because of X, Y, and Z. No. You can't do that. And I'm going to tell you that as a real Vikings fan, you don't get to do that. Like, there is stuff that you own and there's stuff that you deflect, which you shouldn't ever deflect it. Own your stuff. Like, we hung in a lot of games with QB3s, QB4s, running back 3s, and all the Vikings did this year was turn the ball over. Right? Right. Like, as a Vikings fan, if you don't agree, you're wrong. Like, a lot of the games that we lost were on us, or bad coaching decisions, which we're going to talk about later. But that's kind of the story of the season. So for all the fans being like, well, the Lions wouldn't have won if this and this and this didn't happen, don't do that. Don't look like that type of, like, football fan. It's a really gross look. I'm just going to leave it at that. So kind of, like, getting more into, like, the important stuff with this. I think, the Lions came out of nowhere. I'm really impressed with Justin Fields in the second half of the season. I think he kind of found a groove. Now, did it happen too late? I don't know. I mean, what do you think about that, John? Do you think Justin Fields kind of, like, bloomed a little too late? Do you think he earned another year with possibly another weapon from the draft? Or do you think the Bears move on from Justin Fields?
Justin Fields, I think it is a little too late. I think that whole organization is going through a rewash right now. And unfortunately, I don't think it's enough to keep him as a starter. Like, I don't think the Bears community is sold on him.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm not a Bears fan. I can't really tell you. He doesn't have me convinced that they're convinced.
Yeah.
I don't think they have an identity of who they are yet, and that sucks because that was a whole season kind of, like, washed in a sense. And he has, I think last season his fantasy value was, like, through the roof. Really, he was a solid pickup. So I don't know what happened there for the Bears offensively.
I think most of, like, the failure has kind of came from maybe more of, like, the front office on the Chicago side, as it has been for years. My fiance's a Bears fan with her dad. No, she's daddy's girl. But like, even her dad, I was just at a game feed with her dad last night, and we got on the subject of football, and it was just, the Bears have their own problems, and sometimes it's getting in their own way and maybe not doing things to, like, help their team. Well, a lot of the decisions that they over this last offseason and, like, the very late part of the season this year kind of started to bloom a little bit, with DJ Moore doing pretty well with Fields. Cole Kmet started playing really well with him. The run game started showing up a little bit. But primarily that defense started showing up. So Eberflus, I don't know. Like, if I were a Bears fan, I'd be really torn. Do we bring him back? Do we not bring him back? Like, what's the situation there? But because the only thing I would say about it though is if you keep Eberflus, you keep Justin Fields, and you draft. You don't trade back in the draft. You go get Marvin Harrison Jr. with number 1. Like,
yeah,
and you run it back one more year. You give Justin Fields one more year based off of what you saw at the end of the season, and you go, okay, if we can get you more weapons and keep improving the defense, maybe there's something here. I don't know if I'd give up on it, and that's coming from a diehard Vikings fan, man. I don't know if I would give up on that. And this is a guy, you've heard me say it. I have called him Bustin' Fields before, and I'm not gonna hide from that. I own what I've said, but seeing what I saw the second half of the year, I don't know. Maybe you run it back.
I read a theory. I don't know if this is valid to what extent, but they have the number 1 draft pick. I heard they're talking to Caleb Williams, head coach Lincoln Riley, for a coaching gig. I don't know.
What if, right?
You get the number 1 pick, you get his head coach. Has it worked before? No, it hasn't worked before, but
no.
They would do it.
And like, I was in school the other night when we were talking about Caleb Williams a little bit, which we don't need to get too much on Caleb Williams right now. That's another.
He's not here yet. He's not here yet.
That's another show. But the interesting with Caleb Williams is that, they pulled a stat line that, like, whenever he played, like, some of the teams that weren't that great, yeah, he went off. But when he played some of, like, the top 15, top 20 schools, he didn't play that well. And that's something to dive more into as
we'll talk another day.
Time goes on. And then let's talk about the Packers.
So they got shredded, but hey, they made it.
The Packers made it into the playoffs. The Vikings did not. We did not deserve to be in the playoffs. And Jordan Love kind of shut everybody up going into this year. Like, everyone's like, well, can he do it? Can he not? And then, like, when he got to, like, week 6, week 7, everyone was like, oh, Jordan Love, he's just not doing his thing, that he's supposed to be doing. Like, okay, great. Wrong. Jordan Love showed up with the youngest NFL team to ever make the playoffs as a 7th seed. Never happened, by the way. The 7th seed's never made. A 7th seed has never made it into the playoffs.
I like the story. I like it.
So, I mean, kind of interesting, right?
You're happy to see it without Aaron Rodgers. It's
no, it wasn't not the 7th seed. Obviously, not making the playoffs. It was the Packers made it with the youngest team, and then they won their first playoff game with Jordan Love to get to the divisional round. No 7th seed has ever won the wild card slot. Crazy to think about.
The history of the NFC. That's crazy.
Yep. They went in as a 7th seed, and they won their first playoff game, and then they went into San Francisco, which all you need to say about that, and I said it last night when we were there, is go ahead.
Your division is stacked.
It's competitive.
It's competitive. Like, look at this. What a time. And it's really anyone's ball game, which is like the best part. Best part.
It's really interesting to look at it this way, right? Like, to be like, man, like, there's 2 ways you can look at the NFC North and be like, wow, like, so many teams are so much better than the other because of injuries or not injuries. But, like, being a Vikings fan and having experienced all the injury woes that we possibly could have, lots of season enders this year. We got some guys that we don't know if we're going to extend or not. Wow, this is a big off season because right now the North is really up for grabs with all 4 of these teams. If any one of these 4 teams makes the right moves in the off season, there's a good chance that they move forward as the the Kings of the North, or taking it from Detroit next year, or whoever. So I think it's going to be really interesting. I think I do commend Jared Goff. I know we talked about that in previous shows where who won that trade. I still think as of right now, the Rams won that trade because Matt Stafford went and won a Super Bowl. Happy for him, good for him. Like, but then it was like now Jared Goff is kind of getting his turn to show up and show out a little more than I think what people expected. Sometimes I call him Jared Goof when he throws an interception that's kind of boneheaded or things like that.
He's kind of goofy.
Yeah, but it's just like goofy plays. But Jared Goff is playing really good football, and you can't deny it. The Detroit Lions are not a team that you sleep on. It's just kind of like for when we talk about the games today, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now are not a team you sleep on. They're playing playoff football right now. It's different. Playoff football every year is different. You don't sleep on anyone. Baker Mayfield. Isn't that weird? Saying Baker Mayfield in the playoffs?
Yeah, I love it. I think the playoffs need Baker Mayfield. He's that bro in there,
Yeah.
He's a football guy.
Let's we're gonna transition over here to the just to a quick ad here, and then we will move to the next subject here. So. All right, guys. So, quick break in the show. John and I both really do appreciate you guys coming here and hanging out. One of the sponsors that we have on the show is Dr. Squatch. So when we start talking about the next segment, this next segment is sponsored by Dr. Squatch for us. I reached out to them. Well, they reached out to me as an affiliate or an ambassador for their products. They have subscription-based boxes that you can pay whatever you basically want to pay for, whether it's 6 bars, you get the hair and conditioner and shampoo, whether you get the deodorant. It's totally up to you what you put in your box. The subscription boxes, you can skip every 3 months, or if you need more product, you can refill it the day of. It's totally up to you. My personal favorite scents that I've used for like the bar soaps are actually Bay Rum. Since I first started dating my fiance, she noticed that one the most, and she actually really liked Bay Rum. And then, John, which one? Which would you say you like the most? I know what your answer is, though.
Well, you gotta go with the Justin Herbert Fresh.
That's right. He had the bar ready.
Real champ. We'll get there eventually. But stay fresh with Herbert Fresh.
But yeah, so if you guys are interested in that, check out Dr. Squatch. It's in the below links where you can just select that link and then go and get your subscription box ready. And if you don't want to subscribe, you can just get some of the package deals that you are looking into. Okay, so let's jump into the next topic here, and that is our teams. Let's talk about. There's obviously quite a bit to talk about with the Chargers, so I'm gonna let you just kind of air out all your dirty laundry, John. How do you feel about the Chargers season? What do you think needs to be done to improve?
Chargers season sucked, and Harbaugh we trust.
Oh, you want Harbaugh?
I want Harbaugh. I want winning cultures. I want winning culture brought to the Chargers. We have a great quarterback. We just need a nice leader. We need a new GM. We have no money to pay people. So who's willing to, who's willing to take a shot on us?
We need this. We need that. We need this, and we have no money.
We got no money, so we're gonna have to cut a few ties with some great people. Look out for Derwin James to get traded. Look out for Joey Bosa to get traded. Look out for Khalil Mack to get traded. These are all high volume high bank players that we can't afford.
Yeah.
Look out for maybe a Mike Williams trade. maybe a Keenan Allen trade. Honestly, like
Really? You would be well.
I mean, I don't think anyone's really gonna trade for Keenan Allen this late into his career. So I think I'd be
You never
surprised.
know. You never know.
Surprised. Not saying that he's lost a step. He's still got it, but what are you giving up? To get Keenan Allen. Like, no, it's not. It's not going to be a 1. It's not going to be a 3. In my opinion, that guy's on his later half of his career. But anyway, we got no money, so we gotta cut some players. We have a quarterback. I've even heard rumors of cutting the quarterback. We have a high draft.
I've heard that.
Let's not rebuild people. People are saying Herbert is not the solution, but I don't think he's not the solution. You know
So you're saying that you want a competitive rebuild, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to.
Yeah.
We got no money. We need talent.
The way and not laughing at your team, just laughing at the way you say it, where you're like, yeah, we don't got any money. Like, what
we
are
got no money, man. Let's be real. I'll be the first to tell the front office. You want to hear it from a fan? I know we ain't got no money. We gotta cut some ties, but now we gotta go down the line and say who's not gonna be here next season. Let's be real. Someone's not gonna be here next season.
So what do you think the team needs to like assess in the draft, like for you guys to have a successful season next year in the Chargers?
What are we ready to lose? That's the question. Where are we ready to lose and fill? Because we're going to lose pieces and we're going to have to fill it.
Yep.
And we have a top 5 pick. Now, yeah, do we go get Marvin Harrison, a wide receiver? Even if he's there at the 5, like, yeah, we have to get a wide receiver. Yep. Exactly. We don't have a tight end. We have a garbage. I mean,
you guys need a tight end bad. That's true.
Who? We have no identity at tight end. We have Gerald Everett. Great, thanks. You've been great.
Great, thanks.
You've been a great placeholder, but we need some talent, please. And this Donald Parham, he's 6'7" for what? No hands. Let's just get somebody that can block. Let's get somebody that can. I think Brock Bowers is the name. Is what I'm hearing from Georgia. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. So offense, let's go get a wide receiver. Let's go get a weapon for Justin Herbert.
Yep.
This Quentin Johnson, I feel like it's another Mike Williams situation. Give him 3 to 4 years. He'll fill in his role.
Yeah.
He's having rookie struggles. I get it. He's not Mr. Flowers on the Ravens.
No.
He missed it, right?
Yep.
Shot it in the foot. Damn, Chargers done it again on wide receivers. We don't hit on wide receivers. We do not hit on wide receivers. And I'm even saying that like right away. They have to blossom into a wide receiver. They're not effective right away.
That's the hard thing when you know that your team just doesn't like blossom out certain skill positions. Like, man,
we don't miss.
Like, why can't we just develop better? Like I feel that way about Minnesota. Like, how can we never be able to develop someone young? You know what I mean? Like, it's so frustrating when you got to go sign somebody and then like sometimes just all the pieces aren't there. But we'll get into that when we talk about my team here. So
I think you bring in a leader like Harbaugh or even a Belichick. If you bring in Belichick, just someone who has a winning culture. I think we need that. Not this we could skate by and maybe make the playoffs. No, we need someone committed to excellence.
Yep. I think every team needs that. I mean, I'll jump over into my realm here now.
Please.
Unless you have more to say.
No. Chargers, let's go get ourselves a leader. That's it.
So for me with the Vikings, really tough season. We started off 1-3, 0-3, then 1-4, and that was with all of our starters healthy, good to go, right? But the tail of the tape with those games was we were just turning the ball over. I mean, Alexander Madison was fumbling left and right. That didn't really change on the season until they stopped playing him. I don't know. It was a weird season. So the first 4 or 5 weeks was just turnover city, man. Like if we just wanted to give the ball away. It was going the other direction. And you don't win games like that. Like, you just don't. Like, you can't go into these games and be like, wow, like, let's rip the ball over 5 times to the other team on purpose, it felt like at times, and just hope we win. And you're not going to win football games that way. And so then, kind of going into the next part of the season, in those first 5 weeks, we lost Justin Jefferson. And that was a 7-week hamstring injury. I mean, and I get that they take long. I mean, look at Christian Watson in Green Bay. Man can't stay healthy. And go Bison. I love him. But it's just not, like, the ability to stay healthy is really tough for him, I think. And then on top of it, I've heard that they're going to be trying to figure out why his hamstring keeps getting that way in this offseason to try to stop it from happening in the future. But look at the situation that Green Bay is in with their rookies, right? Like, they got a lot of rookie wide receivers that they got to worry that Christian Watson should be worried, like, how long am I going to keep my spot? I mean,
I agree.
I mean, there's
totally forgot
Bo Melton
Watson existed on that team.
Like, Bo Melton, who's that guy? Crazy. Like, Jaden Reed, bald. Bo Melton, bald. Like, there's been so many of these guys that they're in the rookie room. Tucker Kraft, bald. At tight end, when Luke Musgrave didn't, stay healthy. So it's just one of those things where it's like, man, like, how safe are you? And kind of, go ahead.
Are we convinced on Coach O'Connell, right?
I am, yeah. So getting
like him.
Getting back to the Vikings, there was 2 situations that really stuck out to me on the Vikings season that were very irritating. And they both really came down to Kevin O'Connell. Am I sitting here saying, oh, he needs to be fired? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that as going into next season as a third-year coach, I can't do it. I can't coach a team. I know I can't coach a team. I'd be terrible. Any team that had the issues that we had this year would probably be well below 500. But the Vikings still found a way to be right just below that. The one situation that sticks out in my head was, I think it was week 2 or 3. We had the ball. We're driving down. The clock was going down. And apparently they had headset communication issues. But even then, Kirk should know, okay, spike the ball, stop the clock, give yourself another 30 seconds, 27 seconds or something like that is what would have been left to, like, be at the 20-yard line trying to score and get the game winner and get out of there. Right? Nope. We didn't do that. We didn't spike the ball. We took a Hail Mary from the 20-yard line to the end zone with, like, a hurry-up offense that no one really knew what was going on, and it didn't work out. And then it got escalated into, like, the next, few weeks. There was just a couple more situations that the one I didn't like, and some Vikings fans are standing on it, was like, oh, that was the right call. It was when they did, like, this pooch kick or this pooch punt where there was like 15-20 seconds left in the game. Vikings just scored, and instead of, like, I don't know, they had scored the drive before, and then I think they went 3 and out or something. I can't exactly remember the whole situation because it's been a while. I'd have to go back and look at it now that I'm actually thinking about it. But I think they scored, and then they went to, like, do this. Instead of, like, kicking the ball to the other team, like, far down the field at, like, the 5 or 10 or 15, they did, like, this pooch punt where it was, like, if you don't know what it is, it's, like, just a super short punt where it just goes, like, up and over. And they did it, and it was against the Raiders, actually, just to, like, kill time. to give them less time to possess the ball. But, I mean, there wasn't that much time anyways, and if you go back and watch that play, yeah, you can be like, yeah, it was the right call because they won. But you could also be on the other side of the fence and go, Devontae Adams almost ran that back to the house. And the Vikings almost lost. Not a good thing. Like, there's just some choices like that this year. I think that if he comes back, ready to learn from some of those mistakes this year. Kevin O'Connell wasn't perfect, but I do love Kevin O'Connell. I love the positivity he brings. I do appreciate that the team did not tank, as Vikings fans were wanting to happen. I'm grateful we did not tank. Tanking creates a losing culture. You don't tank as a team. Maybe you disagree with me on that. I don't know, but I don't believe any team that's tanked has ever really seen the fruition of what they were hoping for. And I think that overall, it creates a losing culture for your team, and I don't want that. So I'm glad we didn't tank. I'm glad that we are riding with the 11th pick. I think we lost our games naturally. The Packers game at the end of the year was a little rough. So, but the story of the Viking season was turnovers and injuries. I mean, you go back to this list of injuries. No JJ for 7 weeks. No Kirk. Kirk was the ACL tear, just like Rodgers. Or not ACL tear, Achilles. Sorry, my correction. Cam blew his Achilles as well. He just had surgery on the same Achilles last season, so that was a thing. And then TJ Hawkinson takes, some sort of shot. We're going to talk about that later. To the knee during the Lions game. Former team that he played for, and ACL, MCL tear, done for the year. Josh Dobbs, the trade was, we talked about that trade, is it going to work out, back when we did our first episode of the news show. Josh Dobbs is fun to watch, but I don't really understand why people are like, we should have been playing Dobbs. Dobbs could not move the ball for 3 games straight out of the 5 that he played. And then Nick Mullins, he moved the ball well, but it turned into, why are you turning the ball over in the red zone all the time? And that's, again, why we lost games. So just lots of injuries, lots of hard things for the Vikings season this year. But it doesn't negate what Detroit's done, like we said earlier. Detroit had games ahead of them that they were supposed to win, and they won, and they're still winning. They're still playing postseason football, so. That could end today. They might not end today. Who knows? But that's kind of the story of the season. And then going into the off season, I think the best plan is attacking some of the key positions that were not developed well, which is quarterback. I think you signed Kirk to it sounds like he's open to a 2-year team friendly deal. Draft a quarterback first round, see who you can get, and then I think Harrison Smith's probably gonna retire because he's due $14 million. I don't see a safety at his age maybe wanting to get paid by a team with that type of cap hit. But he's been a Viking his entire career. He's my favorite player that they've drafted. I would love to see him stick around, but he also might retire. Daniil Hunter, I don't know if we pay him and go and forget about that position in the draft, or if we let him walk. He wasn't that impactful at the second half of the season. I think that there's good DNs coming out of college. You could go get in the draft. But I love me some Daniil Hunter, so I'd love to see him get paid and stay, but I also understand if we don't pay him, if he's asking for too much. Corners, get corners. Defense. But what a turnaround for Brian Flores to come in, turn this defense from a 30 ranked defense to being a top 10, top 15 defense. At one point in the season, they were top 5. So
that's what he does. What he does.
He does well. So, but that's kind of what my thoughts on my team are specifically. But I think right now, with re-signing Kirk on a team-friendly deal, I think that's going to open options up to basically extend Justin Jefferson. And then you have Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins, and T.J. Hawkinson around for a while. So I think it's going to be good. And just overall improving ball security and execution. So that's kind of where I'm at. But speaking of T.J. Hawkinson, let's move into one of the subjects that's going to be a little more controversial. So if you're a Lions fan, it's not to like insult you guys. It's just to talk football. It's just brass tacks we got to get down to with it. Is Kirby Joseph a dirty player or no? What do you think, John?
Oh man, I only seen it.
There's going to be conversations that tie into this as well. So we're not
Okay,
going to
so
we're not going to sit here and say he's dirty. It's going to be like
he's the one on Higbee, right?
What's that?
He's the one that hit Higbee.
He's the one that hit Higbee. He tore his ACL and MCL. And then he did the same thing to T.J. Hawkinson about a week or two prior. And in the same game with the Vikings, he did a helmet-to-helmet to Justin Jefferson, where, by the way, he concussed himself, actually. And Justin Jefferson flexed on him. So that was kind of fun to watch. To see a dirty hit be attempted, but didn't really work out in his favor. You don't want to see those hits in general, though. You just want to see clean football. So
yeah, I mean, why are you going low?
And that's the nature of this conversation, is because they have to. Right? That's why I wanted us to get to you walked right into it, and I'm glad you walked right into it. So is Kirby Joseph trying to do these hits that are dirty and they're happening on accident, or is it something that's happening because of what the precedent that the NFL has set with how you hit players when you're playing defense? How do you play defense anymore? You can't go high, which I understand. You don't want help with the helmets. Like, you can't go low, right? Like, you can't, they call that all the time. You can't be, like, even fighting hands anymore from what it seems like. Otherwise, they call pass interference. Or they don't. I mean, we're going to get into that, like, as the show kind of wraps up. A lot of times they don't even call these PIs that are so obvious, and then in a different game they'll call it, and you're like, okay, well, why not in this game? Or why not in the Packers game when they played the Chiefs? Like, why didn't they call, PI at the end of the game when the Chiefs receiver was being all but tackled before the ball was even hardly thrown? So, I mean, we'll get into all that, but staying on task, do you think Kirby Joseph is doing these hits like intentionally, or is it because he's trying to find a way to hit people?
I don't know, man.
Because tight ends are big.
It's tough to say because aren't we taught to wrap up when we hit? It doesn't look like he's ever attempting to wrap up. And
all I see is just a dive at the lower part of the legs.
Yeah, a dive. So it looks dirty.
And I mean, our guys on our teams do it too. You see it every play. You see it.
Everyone does it.
You see it from every team.
Derwin James is famous for it. I just thinking at the same time, it was a different time. I just think the Legion of Boom, and I thought they did pretty. They're taught to wrap up.
They had good wrap-ups, yeah.
They had good wrap-ups, but no one's really wrapping up. Everyone's just kind of diving nowadays, but I get it,
I think it's because they're so afraid they're going to get a flag on them if they hit someone the wrong way.
Get penalized. Nobody wants to get a penalty.
Because, they're trying to play football, and, the NFL's like, no, you can't hit here. You can't hit here. Oh, you can't do this. Oh, well, we're gonna
what can they do?
They're looking at taking the hip drop tackle away going into the off season. It's like, okay, so if you can't hit high, and you're telling these guys, well, okay, you can't hit too low. Oh, you can't hip drop now. Like, how do you play defense?
Well, what do you do? Tell me.
Like, obviously, you can't do the obvious things. You can't grab a face mask. You can't grab inside in the pads, which is, the right call, like for horse collar tackles. Like, you can't hit people too late, which makes sense. But, like, all that's common knowledge. But now it's getting convoluted and complicated as to, like, if you played defense at all in football, ever, even for a short amount of time, you know that, like, it's hard to know where to hit someone. I mean, I don't know. Me personally, I don't think Kirby Joseph is a dirty player. I think it's more of a bad look than what it really is. Yeah, hitting the defenseless receivers with the tight ends right at the knees, that can probably be changed. Like, you gotta stop doing that. I don't think he's trying to be like, oh, I'm gonna take him out. Like, I don't think that's his plan. But, like, the storylines that people are starting to build with this are not good. Like, I don't know if you've seen some of them, but, like, Dan Campbell was on the 2009 Saints coaching squad.
There you go.
And he was suspended for a year for those types of hits. For those types of hits, and now they're starting to happen a little more frequently. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yeah, like there's Bountygate. No, there's not Bountygate. It's just these are the narratives that some people are starting to make because of these types of hits being just allowed or like happening in the first place. I don't know what any of these defensive players can do to not get flagged on how they play defense.
Look out K-Dot and pick off at 12.
What's that?
Look out K-Dot and...
Yeah. It's super... do I want to see guys get injured? No.
No.
No. And, like, especially after, the Vikings just paid TJ Hawkinson, and now that hit tore his ACL and MCL. It's like, great. That's awesome.
I really like what he's been for you guys, too.
He's been great. I mean, he was like number 1 or 2 tight end on the season this year for the entire NFL. And then it's like, okay, well, like now that changes, how he comes back next year. And then Higbee, he was doing really well in that Rams game. And then, that happened to him. I mean, you see in the Rams game, this is just not a good look. Like, Kirby Joseph going and pulling people off the pile, like, after the play is dead. Like, you can't do these things if you're going to go on Twitter and publicly apologize. Like, I'm not a dirty player. I'm not trying to hurt people. Because he did go on Twitter and was like, I'm really not trying to hurt people. And it's like, okay, but, like, you got to understand how this looks.
Yeah.
Like,
imagery.
Like, it's the image that you paint of yourself, right? Now, I don't know how you hit on defense anymore. It's frustrating.
It really is. It's time to change, and the product has changed. I still love it, but we're definitely not in.
We're watching games.
Era.
It's crazy, like, when you live in a world where, like, my cousin's a diehard Packers fan, and we're watching these games together when he's moving up here in June or May. It's crazy to think that, like, you can sit down with rival fans and agree. Like, I don't know if I'd have called that, or how do you not call that? Like, how does that call slip from the ref when it's right in front of him? Well, then how does this guy get away with this? Or why'd the ref throw the flag on that one? And you're, as, like, rival teams, like, agreeing with each other, being like, how do you, like, not get this call right? Or how do you get that one wrong? It's just so blatant. And, like...
Yeah, the inconsistency. You don't know.
And some people are like, oh, it's just the Chiefs. And a while ago, I used to be like, yeah, the Chiefs do get a lot of calls. But, like, this year, it's like, it's every game, dude. It's every game. You see these just no calls, or you see a call that was made that you're like, I don't know if I'd have called that. Like, that seems kind of like ticky-tack,
yeah.
Like, that seems like a soft call. They're just hand fighting on a route. And then you see guys getting tackled before the ball's even there, or even thrown. And they're like, oh, no, that's not PI. It's like, how, though? Because you called it that yet last week in a different game.
Did you hear that, like, these players have to actually get a report on the referees? on what they're likely to call.
I've heard that now, yeah.
Yeah, the referees have they've done enough research on them to know what this referee calls a lot of this one, this referee calls a lot of this. Like that's what?
Well,
what is that?
Like the Lions and the Cowboys one. That was huge. That was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter now because the Lions are still in and the Cowboys are out. No, but should they have still gotten that right in the moment? Yeah. Who is he talking to? Who is that guy talking to? Right? Now, I do understand, like, the other complications with that where, like, they sent, 3 people. They sent 3 people up to a ref, and maybe that's confusing to the ref, so he didn't know he was checking in because they were trying to, like, mess with the defense to be like, hey, like, who's going to be the eligible receiver? Like, maybe, that's what they were trying to do, and I've heard that now that's against the rules to, like, do that, and I don't know. Like, the whole situation was a mess. The whole situation was a mess, but it's all kind of a wash now because Dallas is out and Detroit's still in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things where the refs need to be held accountable, and that crew is being held accountable because they don't get to ref any postseason stuff. Like, they were told, you are not participating. Calista says, hey John and Mike, been listening in while driving. It's been such a great episode. One of your best ones yet. Thank you, Callisto.
Thank you, Callisto.
I'm at my destination now, but I'll finish watching later. It's been a great discussion. Thank you for listening, Callisto. We appreciate you here.
Have a great day.
You have a great day, and I'm glad you got your destination safe. But what I would like to see, and I know it's not going to happen, is after every set of games or every slate of games, if they did it every Tuesday, right? And they pulled all the reffing officials on ESPN or whatever network and did a live presser and asked those guys on the specific calls that were bad in all the games over the weekend and be like, so we noticed that you called a PI on this play, but 2 games later, this crew didn't call a pass interference. What's the difference?
Yeah, that'll never happen.
No, it'll never happen, but it'd be hilarious.
That's questioning the integrity of the product. That'll never happen.
Right? Because sometimes, I think all football fans feel this, when they see horrible calls get made or horrible calls not get made.
Yeah. I mean,
I feel like sometimes I've sat there and been like, how much money did you have on the game today, sir? You know what I mean? I'm sure.
I agree, man.
That's where I would, if I was the NFL and just seeing how inconsistent that they really get sometimes, that's where I'd be like, let's investigate your bank account.
All right. Well, today when the games start, I'll be on the lookout for these calls, man.
Yeah, that's all we can do at this point is just like hope that you see a fair game called.
Yeah, we don't want it to affect the outcome of the game.
No, and I mean that the Lions one was huge, right? Because Dallas walked away with a W.
Yeah.
How do you? The guy caught a touchdown.
But he didn't check in.
It looked like he checked in.
Sounded like he checked in.
And then, yeah, it sounded like he checked in. Okay. And then, I mean, the other one I noticed was with the Chiefs when Travis Kelce threw the backwards pass.
And, the line. He stepped over the line.
He stepped over the line. Now, was he offside? Yeah, sure. I get that. But, the refs are saying, well, it's not our job to tell
to keep
players.
Reminding them.
To keep reminding them that, hey, you got to get back. And, I understand that side of it? Absolutely. These guys are grown. I have said these guys are grown adults, professional athletes. You've been playing this forever. You know where you got to line up. You shouldn't have to be told. But even if you are over, that's also your quarterback's job to be like, hey, Kadarius, you're over the line. Get back. And then you call the play.
I love
But
watching Patrick Mahomes be a baby, though. That's my
it's
favorite.
been kind of fun.
That's my
And
favorite.
I hate to say that because you know, my dad and I, when he played at Texas Tech in college, it was kind of like fun to watch him. And, you know, he goes to the Chiefs and you're like, yeah, he's really fun to watch. He's great, you know, successful quarterback. But, like, as the past couple years have gone on and, like, the calls that they'll get sometimes in games, you're just kind of sitting there as a football fan being like, it's kind of a chin scratcher on that one. Like, how do you get that?
My team's got to play him twice a year. I'll take anything I can get.
You really don't like him. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I like him when he's not playing my team. He's
Yeah.
fun to watch. Don't get me wrong. He's an all-star on every level. But
Yep.
I have to face him twice a year. Oh, I hope he doesn't stun the big game day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be – the Chiefs got we're going to get into the games a little later too, so.
Yeah.
Who did the Chiefs play this week? The Ravens?
Chiefs will play
No, not
Bills.
the Ravens. The Ravens and the
They're playing
Texans
the
played.
Bills.
They played the Bills, yeah. Huge game.
In Orchard Park.
It's going to be interesting.
Home field advantage. Wow. It's Josh Allen. Please get the job done, bro.
But no, I think the reffing needs to be put into check going the next season. Even the rest of this season, man. Like, it's been horrible this year.
I'll even take the bad calls, but if you're going to make them consistently.
Yeah, do something consistent. Make bad calls consistently. Don't call bad things consistently. I don't care at this point. Like, just be consistent. Like some consistency, please. Oh,
that's all we're asking for.
That's all I'm asking. That's all we're asking for on our show. Please.
If this is a flag, let it be known this is a flag across all boards.
God. All right, that's enough of that. We're just getting mad now.
Yeah, we're just ranting.
Let's get into one of our last topics here. We had two. We missed on the rule changes going into next season, but we kind of talked about that already with the reffing and. How do you play defense? I feel like we already kind of covered that. So let's go into the games. So yesterday, the Ravens and the Texans played. Congrats to C.J. Stroud on such a fantastic rookie season. A lot of fun to watch. Yep, much claps. He was incredible this year, man. Blown away. I mean, he was the guy that everyone kind of did not expect to come out of the woodwork, and man, did he show up. In dynasty leagues, in like his professional career, like he was unreal this year. And then Anthony Richardson was kind of the same way until he got hurt. So hopefully he gets better. But talking about the people involved in these games, though. It was nuts to see the success that C.J. Stroud had this year. I think that the Texans are well on their way to building a really good team, really good roster. I think they need a running back in the draft and just kind of keep adding in pieces, and that team's going to be dangerous. I really think so. The Ravens kind of, smacked them around yesterday pretty good, but I mean, Lamar's been in the league for, quite a bit longer. So, I think that we all kind of expected that to happen. But what were your thoughts on the Texans and Ravens?
First of all, shout out to Coach D'Amico Ryans and the Houston Texans. That was a fun season to watch, to witness.
Yeah.
The Ravens are a beast, and I think home field advantage really played its part yesterday because the Texans O-line could not hear the cadence, and it was really messing with it. And
so loud.
I think that just kind of shows like the power of the home field advantage, but also this is just the Ravens. If they can suffocate you one way, they will, and they'll use it to their advantage. I think Harbaugh is a great coach. I think, like I said, I had shares of Lamar Jackson this season.
Yep.
I think after he bought in and got his deal, it kind of, yeah, people say he hasn't shown up in the playoffs before, but after he locked in that deals, personally, I felt, why not ball out now and just show him what you got. I
Right.
think he's doing that. He's having an MVP season. Everything's falling into place. He has a wide receiver core. Odell Beckham is looking good. Isaiah Likely is looking good. He's doing it
Isaiah
with no
Likely looks
market.
really good.
Yeah, he's tall. He's huge. And the fact that Lamar is actually airing it out to them is mind-boggling to me. I'm like,
Yep.
because I am the biggest Lamar doubter. I don't think he's a quarterback. Dude is balling out.
We've been kind of harsh on him on this show.
I have.
I think
I'll admit it. But I drafted him. You know what? That just shows that he convinced me. Like,
he's winning you over.
I know what he's about. He stands on business.
Well, I think that a lot of the comments now of like him being more of a running back can kind of go away.
Yeah,
He's shown this year he can sling it. So
he can sling it,
and
and he's
maybe we just haven't been paying attention because he's been always pretty. He's always had a good arm. I mean, there's no two ways about it.
Harbaugh does so much with that team, with how injury prone that team is.
Right. Yeah,
That's
I mean,
amazing.
one year I think it was last year or 2 years ago when we were recording, the running back room for the Ravens was like ACL tear, ACL tear, ACL tear. It was just like bam, 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 bam. It was just like one after the other.
And you couldn't point out the wide receiver team in the core.
No.
But guess what? They were still in the hunt.
Yep. The Ravens always seem to find a way to, like, with Harbaugh, what you were talking about, getting the other Harbaugh, like they always there's just good
winning
culture. There's good winning culture there. Yep, exactly. I think, so I thought that game was really interesting. Now, talking about, the Packers and the Niners yesterday, that Brock Purdy, not so relevant. He's pretty good.
Human.
He's pretty good at football. Yeah. He looked human in some moments in that game, but like Purdy he's easily one of the most disrespected quarterbacks at this point. I think he's like earning every piece of respect that he's been getting now, because
he's the man for the job.
He was Mr. Irrelevant. That's what they were calling him, and now he's like, he's owning that, and and they're in the playoffs, so they just beat Green Bay. It's kind of interesting, like with that game though. When we were leaving the game feed last night, I was talking to my fiance's dad, and I said, this is not going to end well for Green Bay, because there's like, I think it was like a minute left, maybe a minute and a half left in the game. Green Bay was getting the ball back, and I said one of two things is going to happen. Jordan Love is going to like defy the odds and make some plays, get down, and they're going to tie it up, or they're going to get 6 to take over. Or, he sat underneath Aaron Rodgers for a long time.
He did.
What did Aaron Rodgers often do in a lot of those high-pressure situations? He threw game-winning interceptions, because he learned from Brett Favre as well. It's kind of one of those things where I think he just tried to do a little too much in the final moments, and he threw it right to somebody in red, and I called it. I said, he's going to throw a pick. And he's like, you really think so? I'm like, yep. He's going to throw a game-winning pick. Here it comes. Boom. Right to the 49ers defender. Into like double or triple coverage. It was nasty. It was bad. It was a really, really bad throw. Just trying to do too much in the moment. But I'm not gonna put a damper on the Packers season, because they played great. They legitimately played. They played great throughout the majorly through the second half of the year. They kind of got a lot of things figured out, and I wish that my team would have figured some things out at that rate. They just didn't. So kudos to the Packers for doing what they did. But the 49ers are moving on. Do you have any thoughts on the game from the Niners-Packers game?
slow. It was a slow start in the game.
Yeah, it was.
And it didn't really pick up till halftime for me.
Mm-hmm.
Watching it, I thought defenses looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
When Debo did go out, I thought Purdy did look a little rattled again. His safety blanket was.
Yep.
But he has this Christian McCaffrey, and Christian McCaffrey runs hard like always.
Every
I'm happy for he
time
runs.
you put the ball in his hands, it's dangerous.
You have a chance. You have a chance, and I'm just. I think the Packers' season was a win, especially when no one thought you had a shot. No one even counted you in.
Yeah. Yeah, the Packers were like, no, they're not going to make it.
I think it's a win since nobody counted you in.
Yeah,
I think that's
absolutely.
a great way to look at it. And then for the 49ers, you got to keep it going, and Purdy's got to believe. Oh, dude, did you see when he ran that in to get the first down? I think it was in the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like,
yeah,
when he believes in himself, he's
that.
dangerous. I think that's for most quarterbacks, though. I think that's the problem with my quarterback. I don't think he believes in himself. Hot take.
Yeah, no, I feel like sometimes he can like feel the doubt that other people have for him, but then once he like gets that belief for himself, he's like, I can
start believing.
I can do this.
It's dangerous. Yeah, it's a dangerous feeling. Look at Baker Mayfield. Like his career has kind of turned around.
He's resurging right now, man. Like they're playing so good in Tampa Bay right now.
It's exciting.
It's crazy. My mind is blown.
Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. That's the thing you take away from this. If you don't take anything football related away,
believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. I like that. Let's go into the today's games that are slated. So obviously we have the Detroit Lions game today. Still can't believe we're saying that. Detroit. They've had some games this year where I just feel like they've kind of just skated by, and gotten out of there. And then they've had some games that they've won definitively. I don't think you sleep on the Bucs, though. I think you don't sleep on any team in general. But it's really important that they take this game serious. I mean, the Bucs have had playoff experience with that head coach. He knows what it takes. Todd Bowles knows what it takes to win in the playoffs. Yes, they had Tom Brady and Gronk and, some other names. But look at what they're doing with Baker Mayfield and, Mike Evans and, Chris Godwin. And everyone's kind of just like, it's what you want with your team is you just want your team to click right at the right time. And the Bucs are starting to do that. There's been some games with the Lions that I've seen a lot of concern where I'm kind of like, kind of just hung on to that one, like even against the Rams, they kind of just hung on to that win. Very questionable going back to the reffing, no call PI, Puka. That would have put them in the red zone. I mean, if you make those plays and it gets called the next game, like we were talking about, the level of consistency in what's being called, different story, right?
So they're skating by.
I felt like Detroit kind of skated by on the Rams game. And then, it was kind of funny when Matt Stafford called Kirby Joseph dirty. He called him, he said, it's on tape. We've all seen it. I don't know, kind of interesting to see that matchup last week. But this week's a different game. I think Tampa Bay walks out with a W. I think, and the reason why it has nothing to do with like the bias of like being in the NFC North, the interdivision opponents. I think that there's going to be a level of playoff experience that Todd Bowles has. Mike Evans, he's won a Super Bowl. Chris Godwin's won a Super Bowl. Those guys have been there and they want to go back. So I think with the way Baker is playing. I mean, I'm not gonna shrug at that, even though it's like, oh, it's Baker Mayfield. No, Baker Mayfield's playing really good football right now, and we can't have the, well, it's Baker Mayfield mentality. I mean, he beat the Vikings in week 1, destroyed our defense. Like, and then he had some bad games, and then he had some great games, and some good games and bad games, and then now he's playing really great again. It's one of those things where Baker might fit in really well in Tampa Bay. I don't know. Who do you think walks away with that game? Detroit or Tampa?
Damn it, I'm biased. I just saw that the Detroit Lions got a pick. Go Lions. Go Lions. No, but honestly, Baker Mayfield can get the job done. That team is a Super Bowl team still. Yep. Like,
did he just throw a pick?
C.J. Gardner-Johnson tipped it.
Oh, so it was okay. So it wasn't Mayfield's fault then.
Yeah, it's not his fault, but you know what? It's good. Adversity early is good. Get it out of the way.
Yeah.
That's how I see. Get it out. Get the jitters out of the way. Boom.
Yep.
Done.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think Detroit takes it. Like I think they are they're writing a Cinderella story. I kind of wanted to blossom. But Baker Mayfield and Todd Bowles' defense is nothing to joke about.
No, there's nothing to sniff at.
It's a Super Bowl defense still. Still a Super Bowl defense.
So let's go into the last game for the evening. Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. Let's get into this one.
Heavy hitters.
I think the Chiefs win.
Okay.
The reason why is I've never seen Josh Allen really convince me that he's a closer on the season in the postseason.
Agreed.
I feel like there's a level of hunger that you need as a player. And I think some of the players in the Bills have that. But I mean, Diggs hasn't had the best season there. I'm starting to wonder if the window for the Bills to go to the Super Bowl has closed, because at some points, yeah, they're still in the postseason, but at some points in this season, the Bills just have not looked good. They just have not looked good. And then the Chiefs have also looked the same way, but that's when the receivers are dropping the balls a lot. Now that's not happening as much with the Chiefs, and I think that Mahomes having been there before, wanting to get back there, wanting to win number 3, I think that there's something there. Mahomes was interviewed earlier in the week. He said he wants to be the villain on the field. He likes it. So, obviously, Taylor Swift's probably gonna be at the game.
It's cold out there.
Yeah, it's cold. Did you see all the memes people were making about the the possible new album cover when she was in that frosted out window in the Chiefs suite?
Oh, I've seen a couple of them. It was funny.
I thought it was funny. I like them. I really think that they're fine together. I think that people are really mean. I think they work fine.
And if she is in Buffalo today, she's in for a real awakening.
Yeah. Yeah. Bildos. Snowballs. Bildo balls.
The mafia stands on business.
Breaking tables. They handle their business there,
Nice.
Yeah.
I'd love to go to a Buffalo game. That's not in the cold.
We should do that. We should go to Buffalo and just be there. Just be present.
September, or maybe a nice warmer game.
Yeah, we could plan that. Plan a nice warmer game, and then if be hey, I've always wanted to jump through a table.
Oh. No, I'm good. I got work on done Monday. I'm good.
Get you some fireball, it'll be all right.
There you go.
No, I think the Chiefs walk away with the W on this one. I haven't seen enough pieces for the Bills to fully be put together to beat the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs defense is playing really well. Snead's playing really well. I don't know. It's gonna. I think the Chiefs walk away. I think they move forward.
I mean, I think you have it right. I haven't seen Josh Allen be a closer.
No.
Prove me wrong, Josh Allen.
Yeah, prove us wrong.
Prove me wrong.
You know,
Prove me wrong, man.
prove us
I
wrong.
ain't against you. I ain't mad at you. I just don't think you have the confidence in yourself to close out the games.
I just.
Prove me wrong.
I mean, and the last thing I guess to say about it is that like I feel like when things aren't going a certain way, like in Buffalo games, because he was in Minnesota. I'm grateful for all the stuff he did in Minnesota. When things aren't going his way, Diggs just kind of doesn't help. Like when he starts yelling at you on the sideline and getting upset and throwing tantrums and fits, like I just shared the nicest thing about him within the week, where a fan's dad had passed away and like he gave him, like a Christmas gift and this and that, and like Diggs is a great human being, great person. No personal issues at all with him. I love Diggs. I'm grateful for, like I said, I'm grateful for everything he did when he was in Minnesota. I just don't know if like doing all the sideline tantrums and throwing a fit and yelling at people and complaining that you're not getting the ball and this and that and blah blah blah, like I just don't think that helps you as a team and build a bond or build a trust, So maybe that factors into Josh Allen having the confidence to be able to close. I don't know. I could sit here. There's so many things that we could speculate, but I just don't. Right now, I don't believe Josh Allen has the ability to close. But prove us wrong.
Prove us wrong. So you're taking Kansas City.
I'm taking KC
for the Bills.
I'm taking Kansas City. I think
my money's on KC. My heart's.
I think Kelsey's gonna have a big game. I think Kelsey has a big game.
How does he not?
I mean, he's had some quiet games this year. I think he has a big game this year against Buffalo when it matters.
All right, let's see it.
And then I think the drops go to a minimum for KC because they have in the past few weeks.
See how it turns out, man.
Yep. But that is our show. So I just wanted to take a minute. Take a minute. Again, thank Dr. Squatch for reaching out to me about, being a sponsor for the show and the ambassadors. Go get your bars of soap, your hair conditioner, shampoo, your toothpaste, whatever you want. On the channel, you can see the link, and you'll get a discount on your order as well as like a few of the other sponsors as well. I just want to go through them real quick. And just give them a quick shout out and just say thanks. So, and then John, thanks for making the time to, actually record today.
Yes, I'm always glad, man.
I appreciate it. But if you guys check out Rogue Energy, you'll get 10% off if you use the code Notorious Rogue. It's capital NOTORIUS, capital ROGUE. They sell workout products, like pre-workouts, like your BCAAs, things that you want to use when you're at the gym. That's personally like my favorite company I like to go with. I feel like I don't get the jitters or like feel sick after I take something. So check out Rogue Energy. Check out Gamer Grind Coffee. When you have a long game session or need a quick revive after one, choose Gamer Grind Coffee. You can choose the level of roast and grind, including whole bean, and subscribe if you love it. Get on that grind with Gamer Grind. And then the other sponsor we already have mentioned once, is Dr. Squatch. So if just go ahead and it said what I put in here is, it says if you go to this following link below to smell like a man, or me, I suppose, since I love this stuff. I recommend only Hope Soap, Marvel Selections, and especially the Mall soap bars. You will receive $10 off your order if you use my code with the link with my name. And then also check out Nerd or Die. If you guys are looking into streaming or starting a podcast, then you can go ahead and get use the code Nerd or Die, the Avenged Nerd, and then you'll get 20% off your order. But that's our recording for the week. So thanks again for listening. John, we were up to 7 people, John.
Let's go.
So that was awesome. Thanks for coming back in, guys, and listening. And next year, when fantasy is around, we are going to be doing more recordings for Fantasy Takes, which is going to be the most consistent part of the show as well. So I just wanted to say thank you, and we appreciate it. And yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.